Where you go, Emma?
Thank you, Ivor. Can you all hear me properly? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being on this meeting this morning. I just want to start off with the Psalm 23, if that's okay. So, the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul, and he leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Though you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, you anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. So I've had a really overwhelming experience this morning, and this is God working in my life. So I had messaged my brother yesterday, and I'd asked him if he would like to come to my son's birthday. Bear in mind, I haven't spoken to him for 2 years. I caused him a lot of harm, and I didn't attend his wedding, and it's something I can never get back. And he texted me this morning, and it was a very long message. And he told me a lot about myself, and the old me would have gone, my pride, my ego attacked him and not wanted to apologize. But today, through God's work, I went there in a compassion and loving way, admitted my faults and asked him if I could make an amends to him, a formal amends with him and his wife. So I'm just waiting to back. And that is just the experience of God in my life. That does not come naturally to me. And I felt the compassion and love towards them. So anyway, I'm going to start off like my journey. I walked into an AA meeting in 2018. I was literally broken. I've been suffering from addiction for a long time and just in complete denial. And, someone had reached out to me, and I went to an AA meeting, and I looked at those 12 steps on that wall, and I seen God, God, God. And, I just, my head was baffled by it. I'd had experience as a younger child of going to church. But, my point of view back there was that I felt like I was forced there by my mum, because my mum was like an alcoholic. Well, actually, I say she's an alcoholic. I know today that she wasn't. She was just a heavy drinker. She's not an alcoholic. But, she would put drinking men before her, and we were just forced out, So I come in 2018, and I messed about with this stuff for so long. I couldn't work the program, and my story was relapse. And I, instead of picking up the program, I picked up men. I fixed on everything, other than the program. And I went through a 4-year on and off relationship with someone, and it was like really unhealthy. And I'm going to share this because it's all crucial to my experience and my journey. So within the 4 years, I was in and out of this relationship, and I just couldn't stay clean. I put this man before my children. He was my higher power, and all I focused on it was that relationship, and if things didn't go my way, I'd be back in that painful situation to the point where I nearly lost my children. And on August the 2nd, I got some real devastating news that he had been found dead in his bathroom. And this was a make or break for me, and I spent many hours on my own, like praying. And I found at that moment, God found me. I didn't find God. God found me. Like he comforted, and he gave me so much strength throughout that time. And since I relapsed. I relapsed twice after, and then so it was like something just clicked. Like God had really entered my heart and my mind, and my journey started. And since then, like you know, the things that I've been able to achieve, and through, you know, through my relationship with God and the person He's made me today. You know, like, I come in, my self-esteem was on the floor. I was smashed to pieces, you know, that I didn't know any other way than to go back to using, because I could not, you know, sit with the guilt, the shame, and everything that I had done and the person that I had become. And, you know, I always thought that, you know, what's the point, because of everybody still going to have that opinion on me, you know. And it was only when I really, really started my relationship with God that all these things started to be removed. What I thought about myself and what I thought others thought about me. You know, I started that relationship with God that I knew He loved me, and I knew I was worthy, you know, and I knew that He had a purpose for me. And like, just everything just started to just change. And like I, as a parent, you know, I struggled. You know, this is my truth. I struggled as a parent. I struggled to love my kids because I'd never felt love myself. And, you know, and today I feel like I love my, you know, I can feel like I can love my kids. I can show them compassion, you know. And yeah, it's just been a really, you know, beautiful journey. I've had, you know, such beautiful experiences throughout my journey with Ivor, with the baptism, you know. And you know, the biggest thing for me was learning how to turn my will over. You know, it was like I was all right going around like, yeah, I've got a God in my life. And I'd always say it. I'd say, yeah, I've got God in my life, I pray. But I didn't have a God in my life. I was worldly, I was selfish, I was self-centered, you know, I was full of defects. But because I prayed, I thought I had God in my life. But today I realized that, you know, I never experienced what I had experienced today, that real internal, you know, that transformation, that internal like job, you know, like he's really transformed me as a person. And, you know, I feel like I've got so much courage today. And, you know, just even being able to go out and make amends to people, like that whole part crippled me. I never ever thought I'd be able to do it. And even more, I never thought that I'd be able to, you know, sit in front of, you know, even on Zoom, or do this to share. It doesn't come naturally to me. Like, you know, I'm normally crippled in fear. I hate anything like this. I used to walk around with my head on, like looking at the floor, or I could not look people in the eyes. Today I can look people in the eyes. I'm present to my children. I'm accountable at work. I've just started a new job. Like, my life is changing so much, and it only started to change when I let God in, you know, when I stopped being so worldly, you know, and focused on Him. And by the age of 16, I'd lost so many people. You know, I had watched my sister die, my cousin had died. And I don't say this for sympathy. I say this because I was so angry that I thought God had taken all these people away from me. But my experience with losing John, he showed me that, you know, God only takes them for the right reasons. You know, he was in pain, and John's death has transformed my life and helped me to grow. It really has. It's like, you know, I've learned so much, and like so much about myself, and like my relation. I know that John's in heaven now. You know, I know he was a Christian. I know he's, you know, and I just know he's happier. And God, God gives me that comfort to know that he is safe now. And this is what God says to me: this is your time. This is your journey now. You know, because I couldn't do any of that, because of I could not separate the two. I could not have God in my life and continue in this relationship. He was my higher power. And how sad the situation is, I know that he'd be looking down on me, so proud of the person that I am, you know, because I know he would have wanted that for me too. And it's sad that, you know, these situations have to happen for you to grow. But, you know, some things can break you and some things can make you. And it made me. And, you know, I'm just so, I just feel so blessed, you know, to the relationship I have with God today. And I just want it to grow and grow. And yeah, I'm getting really, like, I don't really know what much to say, to be fair. Yeah, you know, I'm just so grateful for the person I am today, you know. I'm grateful for how far God's like helped me come in my like recovery. I'm going to be through the. I'm doing my 10, 11, and 12 on Saturday. Like it's just it's a miracle to me. I've never got through the steps. You know, I've never ever worked these 12 steps to my best ability. I've always been focused on something else. And from my relationship with God, I'm going to be through the steps. I'm going to be able to sponsor another woman. You know, it just blows me away. And you know, I've got so much hope for my future. You know, I've got so much faith in what God has planned for me. I just sometimes feel overwhelmed, really overwhelmed by it all. And you know, I'm just, you know, God's given me my children back. You know, I'm a mum to my children today. My children are no longer, you know, in danger, because that's the type of mum I was. I would drag my kids out of bed so I could go and score. You know, I would bring people and drugs into their home. You know, that was the type of person I was. But I am not that person today. And that is through God, you know, because God has transformed me inside out. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. You know, it's progress rather than perfection. Do you know what I mean? I'm still learning, you know, but I know that if I stay on this journey and this path, that great things are going to happen. You know, it says, lean not on my own understanding, but acknowledge him in all my ways. And he is going to make my path straight, you know. And I used to be, when I used to try and vision, when I was praying, when I used to try and vision, I would be blank. There was nothing up there. There was nothing up there. It was so dark. Today, when I pray, I see Jesus and I see him, I see myself before him. It's like my eyes have been opened, and that is my truth. But before I couldn't, or I'd pray and then I'd stop. And it felt like the enemy was attacking me. It didn't want me to pray. It didn't want to get me, you know. And I was constantly up against it. And today I don't feel like the enemy is up against me as much anymore. It can try and get in. It does try, but I feel like I've got such a massive defense today. It doesn't. Like the way I would pray and I just couldn't, I would stumble, or you can't pray, you're not good enough, you're not going to be able to do this. Do you know what I mean? There's no point setting yourself up. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. That was everything that I thought about myself. I don't think of that about myself today. You know, I don't think about myself. I'm a good person and I am loved and I am worthy and I am a good mum. You know, I am not who I was 60 like 90 days ago. I'm not that person. I'm growing. You know, I've got God in my life and I am who he says I am. I'm not who that person says I am. I'm who God says I am, and he says I'm worthy. So, you know, that's to get to that point is so hard to really believe when you've been smashed and broken, to really believe, you know, to really, you know, believe what he thinks of you. And that took me a long time. You know, it's took me a long time, you know, but my self-esteem is slowly growing. And, you know, and just the comfort I feel within, like waking up in the morning and just feeling at peace, you know, and just being grateful for that 24 hours and being prepared for what he has planned for me. I've just started like another job, and like my worst fear was working around other people. Do you know what I mean? I hated being, I like to work on my own. I'm in the kitchen around everybody, you know, everybody. And, you know, and I'm chatting and just a little thing, yeah, it may not seem massive to other people, but I was that mum, like at football, that I could not look at other mums in the eye. They'd be chatting away. And I used to think to myself, why aren't I like them? Why am I so different? Why am I, you know, because I just couldn't. And they'd all be chatting, like, you know, sophisticating, like all this lot. I couldn't do the school runs. I hated everything. I was at my son's football last night, chatting away to all the mums. And it just blew me away. It just blew me away that I can stand there, you know, and these little things are massive to me because I couldn't do those things. I couldn't. I was crippled. I dropped my son to football and I would go, or if that was even I was dropping him, because I probably wouldn't even be dropping him. I wouldn't be taking him to school. You know, like what recovery and God has given me today, you know, I couldn't be more grateful. Like my life has transformed, you know, and I'm so excited just to see where my journey is going, you know, and I know with God in my life, you know, if I stay on the right path, that you know, great things are to come. So yeah, I just yeah, I'm really grateful. I don't really know what else to say either. I'm a bit like, it's the first time.
Wow, you've said quite a lot. You've said
Yeah,
so
but
much.
yeah,
Bless you.
I'm gonna leave it there. I hope it, yeah, I hope you all
That's,
got something from it.
that,
Thank you. Thank you.
that, that was absolutely amazing. It was so powerful.